Painting with Menoth John is presented in Super Legitivision. Super Legitivision, the future of podcasting. It's .com.
Hello, I'm
Menoth John.
and I'd like to welcome you. First of all, let me take just a moment to thank you for allowing me back into your homes. If this is your first time with us, let me extend a personal invitation for you to drag out your
miniatures
and paint along with us each week. Let's go over to the canvas here and let's get started. I believe, every day's a good day when you paint. I believe, it'll bring a lot of good thoughts to your heart. I believe, every day's a good day when you paint. I believe, it'll bring a lot of good thoughts to your heart. Let's build a happy little cloud. Let's build some happy little trees. There are no limits here. You start out by believing here. You can almost paint with anything. All you have to do is practice.
Hey, everybody. Welcome. We are literally here tonight to entertain the shit out of you. Welcome to the Sunday night extravaganza. You might know it as the Painting with Menoth John show. I know it as your Sunday night addiction. And with me tonight, of course, up in the catbird seat, you know him as the wind beneath my wings, the man that makes everything happen in the background, Mr. John Spencer.
Hey-o.
You may be wondering and asking yourself, where is the irrational Gonzo? John, were you asking yourself that?
I was. Where is Gonzo? He's not here.
Gonzo is at MomCon in Iowa. So we're going to have an intervention for him later on judgment skills. But for right now, he did, however, record something for us in a way. We're going to play it because we lack judgment. And but it's on-the-spot reporting. John, did you realize that 9 out of 10 people tune into Painting with Menoth John to get on-the-spot reporting?
I did not, but you know what? Fuck that 10th person.
Fuck that 10th person. He doesn't have any idea what's going on around here. I'll tell you what. John, should we do that right away? No, we should have a beverage update first. God damn it. I'm out of practice.
Yes, beverage update first is a good idea. What are you drinking, John?
I'm drinking this. I went to the... I was telling Belinda Librarian today that I needed a dice bag and a bottle of liquor. So I decided to get both. I got a bottle of Crown Royal Maple, which John shook his head at me violently at during the pre-ramble.
It's not great. I'm sorry.
Okay, well, having lived through the nightmare of Roaring Dan's rum,
you're fine.
I can only imagine that this is better. And by better, we mean drinkable.
Look, when I had that, and I'm like, yeah, maybe not so much. Then Not Brushhead Dave brought me some Sortilege, and I was like, oh yeah, I can taste the difference all day.
Yeah, Sortilege is just liquid awesome. So here we go. This is Crown Royal Maple. John, what are you going to have? And then I'm going to switch over to water because we don't do that anymore on this show. John, what are you drinking?
I have a shot of Jim Beam Red Stag.
Is that made with actual deer musk?
No.
Oh, okay.
It's actually, and here's a good way to tell if the whiskey type object is going to be good. If it is, like, this is black cherry liqueur infused with whiskey.
Okay.
So that way it's usually good because Sortilege is maple liqueur infused with whiskey.
Yeah, there you go.
If you get whiskey that's maple flavored, it's not quite as good. A little harsher, but
it goes on the other side. It crosses that uncanny valley, I think they call it. Isn't that right, John? That's what that means, right?
Pretty much. Yeah.
Okay, so go ahead, John.
And then after that, I'm going to follow it up with a screwdriver.
Nice. Well, screwdrivers are lovely. You can't go argue with a screwdriver. So on behalf of the wind beneath my wings and me, Menoth John, to all you out there who've tuned in and spent your holiday weekend with us, hey, Ron. Yeah, it's a little rough.
Yeah.
It's not nearly Sortilege. But then again, what is?
Sortilege?
It is. Well, Sortilege, in fact, is literally Sortilege. So it got that going for it. I did buy some stuff this weekend, John. This is non-beer related or hooch related. We're more of a hooch podcast than we are a beer podcast.
I'm not so much a beer guy.
Yeah, well, we're good with the liquor though, so we're kind of a liquor podcast. Liquor. Anyway,
barely
so
know her.
barely know her. You knew where that was going.
Of course I do.
So I purchased some coffee equipment this weekend, and I know that coffee's not your jam, but I bought a grinder, a new burr grinder, and
Cool.
from let's see, it's from Breville, and it's really nice, and it'll hold a pound of coffee, so I don't have to continually add more coffee to it, which is really nice. And then I also purchased this thing called a Chemex, which is like an Erlenmeyer flask with what looks to be like a glass filter container on the top, and it makes some delicious fucking coffee. I'm going to tell you what. It's a pour over method, so you get the water hot in a tea kettle, and it's like a French press that's like super easy to clean, kind of. There's no pressing involved, but you just lift the filter out and throw it away, and it's awesome. So really delicious.
Legit.
Yeah. So I mean, the Chemex brewer was like $40, which is not expensive for a fine piece of glassware, and then $10 for 100 filters, which is a little
That's
pricey
nothing.
for filters, but that's fine.
$10 for you barely noticed that. Come on.
I didn't realize. I just said that John, you deserve this, and
Yeah.
I deserved it, and then I got it, and it was super sweet.
like 10 cents each. You don't even notice that shit.
I get the coffee for free, so
Yeah.
anyway, so I did that, and it's delicious, and I highly recommend it. So if y'all are looking for coffee tips, you can always reach out to me at pwmenothjohn.com if you have coffee questions, and I'll do my level best to help you. As far as I know, I just make little green dots show up on the computers at work, but at the end, the coffee tastes really delicious, so that's all that matters.
Sounds like you're doing it right.
Yep, exactly. But John, I think if we were to wait even another moment to go to our special live broadcast from Gonzo, do you think that the internet could stand it?
I don't think the internet could. I think that they're waiting with bated breath, so to speak.
Bated breath. Yep, that's BAI, right? Bated breath. We learned that the hard way this week too. Whatever. So fish breath. Here you go. This is a special update from our on-the-scene reporter, Gonzo, and this is not nearly live. So here we go.
Hey, we are recording. I'm here with John, good old friend of mine at MomCon. So this is my first MomCon.
Yep.
I'm actually really kind of confused.
Yeah.
I'm confused because I don't see any cougars walking around. It looks like a big sausage fest. So can you kind of tell me what MomCon is?
Yeah, it's for Muse on Minis Con, dude. Come on.
What? It's Muse on Minis?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I noticed that you have quite a few different games going here. You have Guild Ball, Infinity. You also have
Batman, X-Wing, Malifaux. I know we're missing some. A lot of people were playing Magic all weekend long.
I did see some drafts going on,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
was actually kind of cool.
Yep. Board games, RPGs, painting classes, painting. I feel like I'm missing an event. Let's see, there's
Painting
Guild Ball,
classes
Machine.
and painting.
We said Malifaux, X-Wing, Batman, Infinity. Infinity was the one I was missing. So,
Infinity.
Yeah.
How did the other? I mean, because I know.
How do they keep him
I'm
attached
more
to the
of a
wall
Washington
like that?
Right.
How did the
don't
other
know.
games turn out?
It was great. It was great. We had a great turnout for a lot of the games. A lot of people seemed to have a lot of fun. I think what was great is some people came and they played like
Some people
Batman, and then they played Infinity, or then they played War Machine, and then they played board games into the wee hours of the night. And so it's really a gaming convention, which is, I think, a lot of fun.
I like that. I mean, I guess it's like my first time, and I mean,
How did he get his camera to
there
do
was a
this?
lot of tables and a lot
I
of
don't even
players
know.
and a lot of fun, and it reminds me of all the other conventions I go to that I like to go to. Good family, good fun, good drinking, have good sortilege, and everything like
Yeah, a
that.
little sortilege is good.
It's always good.
Yeah.
So, we gonna do this again next year?
Yeah. Yeah.
We're gonna try something bigger or better, or we're gonna stick to normal same?
I want it to grow, but I want it to grow in increments, and I want to keep the feel of like the family, just the fun.
The fun part.
Yeah, yeah. So we won't be looking.
Well, they're
to make
keeping
it
the fun. That's good.
ginormous or anything, but I think we'll grow. It'll be fun. So.
How's the Muse dealing with all the information that we got coming out about tokens?
Doing great. Yeah, we're doing
'cause
awesome.
Well, what I'm asking about is like 2017.
Yeah, no, that hasn't seemed to have affected us in any way.
Good.
So
Good.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be what it's going to be, and I think,
They're gonna sell you
Y'all
one
branched out
token
quite a
for
bit. Y'all
$50.
have gone from, I mean, like I said, I know you more about War Machine, but I mean, y'all have like really hit the market with Infinity.
Yep, we do a ton in Infinity. We do a ton in Guild Ball. We're starting a weird line very soon. So Malifaux. I think we have lots of other things. We do X-Wing tokens, that kind of stuff.
Anything?
Destiny tokens coming out in a week or two.
You mean Destiny, the Star Wars card game?
Yeah, they're going to be hot.
No, tokens
They're
for
gonna
the
be
video
hot.
game.
So, this is your first MomCon.
Yeah.
What did you think of the passport?
It's good.
Yeah.
It's good. I like
You
the
need a
passport system.
passport
I
to
like
get
going
into
and I can
Iowa?
pay and do thing, and then whatever I do here, I can get little prizes and everything. So yeah, no, I agree.
Just for your viewers at home, MomCon does something a little different. We give everybody a passport, and you just have your event coordinators or, the Iron Arena desk or whatever you're doing casual games, track your time, and for every hour you get a point, and then you use those points at the prize desk for prizes, just like you would at Chuck E. Cheese. So everybody gets the same number of points depending on if they're participating in the con, and that's it.
All right. Anything else you want to tell everybody?
Come hang out with us next year, man. It'll be great.
All right. Thanks a lot, John.
All right, peace.
Well, there you have it, folks. Just like Chuck E. Cheese. MomCon is
my neck now.
MomCon just like Chuck E. Cheese. So, no, thank you very much, Gonzo, for that on the site report. Next time, we're going to have a small class on how to do a video, and then we'll get back to you on that, but we sure do appreciate it. So, hope everybody had a good time at MomCon, and good luck. I hope that as you're going back, that everyone had their visas in place. If they're needing a passport to get into Iowa, for God's sakes, I'd hate to get stuck there. But so there you go. Appreciate that. And Gonz will be back next week to report more on some of the different things that he did personally. I know that Tim the Enchanter got him some Sword of Liege, which is that guy. He went in there and just stole everything. He didn't even have to throw he didn't have to throw a con in order to get prizes this time. So he's doing super good.
I agree, Morton Joe. If they're going to compare themselves with Chuck E. Cheese's, they got to get a ball pit.
Yeah, and it better be laced with enough fucking pink eye to kill a kindergarten. So,
Jesus.
Those things, freaking ball crawls are nothing but a pink eye harvest fest. So, there you go. I don't know. Do we have any other business we need to talk about? If you're not supporting the show, sure would appreciate your support. Patreon.com/menauthjohn. We are... It really helps keep the lights on. We talked about it during the pre-ramble. And it helps kind of keep things rolling. We got John Con coming up September 8th, 9th, and 10th at the Moose Lodge in Racine, Wisconsin. MomCon can't boast that it's at the Moose Lodge at Racine, Wisconsin, can it?
It cannot.
No. And we gave MomCon the idea of passports, but we're going to call ours Visa Books. And you'll go there and you can put let's see, not stamps. They're already doing stamps, right? So we could put
squiggly
faces that applied with inks of some variety.
Even better, get the sticky googly eyes and put them in each spot.
Boom, count it. So expect googly eyes at that'd be the biggest hit ever.
What? Hold your book like googly eyes.
You shake it, and they all Google together. Be super sweet. We will have a ball crawl. I'm not committing to that even a little. But I bet you a bouncy house we could pull off. Anyway,
John, just because you are a relatively slender gamer does not mean you want gamers in a bouncy.
I was just gonna say,
make them for me.
I was just gonna say we probably don't need Mike Wick in a bouncy house, or Peter Capozzo. Those gentlemen are beautiful human beings and some of the nicest people I know on the whole planet. They got no business in a bouncy house. So we will not do a bouncy house, and it's very unlikely there will be a ball crawl at John Con. But what there will be is quality proceeds going to the food shelf of Racine, Wisconsin, helping to benefit those that are economically disadvantaged. And Lord knows we got enough of them in Racine. So hope everybody will come. We'll get the sign-up stuff rolling here pretty soon. I just need to kind of find 10 minutes of my own time to start doing some of this stuff. I may declare next Saturday as an official John Con 2017 planning day. So anyway, but there'll be board game libraries. There'll be tables set up for board games. We're gonna have Colossal Wrestling for sure. We're going to have a food machine style SR kind of a thing like we did last time. But it's going to be super great. Hope everybody can come. But
Yeah.
there you go. That's the business. Now, tonight on tonight's show.
Actually, don't forget to remind them about the Battle for Breath.
Oh, God, thank you. Don't forget about Battle for Breath. That is right there. You see it in the chat room. And you can actually see it on the screen now because of all the uses of technology that we have now, John. You know, there's like at least 15 or 20 different kinds of technologies, and we use like 40 of them. So, and that's one of them that we use right there is that we put links on there, and then you can put the link, you can follow the link to the Battle for Breath. Aaron, the Dream Maker, is making has the Pillars of Halak. That's option up there. You can win a spot here on Painting with Menoth John. You can be our guest. You can be a guest on Beer Machine. So maybe if you like hard liquor better, come to our show. If you like beer better, go to their show. But either way, everybody wins because the Battle for Breath is getting more cash. And that's what we're here. That's what we really want to say is get on over there, support Frazier and the awesome guys that are doing the Battle for Breath, and you'll make both John and I and Gonzo very happy. So, anything else we need to talk about, John?
I think that covers it.
Okay. I'm going to paint my unit of Highshields. See, I just don't, it never gets old for me, John.
Doesn't get old?
It never gets old. So I'm going to swoop in the painting cam because that's what we do here on the show. Whoa, swooping in. It's the painting cam. All right. So there we go. Let's see. Go ahead. Nor and Richard, I just got here late. I've got a question for John Con, if I could. So let's go ahead and ask that question while I go and fire up my my little dwarves here. Now, folks, one of the reasons why I wanted to paint the Highshields on camera is that we talk an awful lot on the show, and we get a lot of questions, John, about, what's the best way to paint units? Because literally it's the most soul-crushing activity in all of painting is I've got all these dudes, and now what do I do with them? So
Indeed.
These guys are Highshields, and the thing that really busts your balls about painting these guys is that they're not terribly awesome. They're okay. They are a ranged unit in dwarves, which is probably better than the Ogren Assault Corps. So
they really only have one problem. It's pretty simple to state, is that they have an order to move, shoot, then move, rather than just fucking having reposition. That's a rule in the fucking game.
Yep.
Because being able to move to shield wall, shoot, and then reposition back would actually make them darn solid.
Yep. But they can't do that now, can they?
No, they cannot.
Yeah. So, but we're not going to talk about the deficiencies of the Highshields. What we're here to talk about is what's the best way, or what is a good way of painting a unit? And so I'm going to demonstrate that, and we're going to talk about assembly line painting.
You need to scoot the camera up a little bit.
Oh, yeah, that's not okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah. As you can see tonight, folks, I am wearing pants. All right, so.
Yay, pants!
Yay, pants.
Me too.
Had
Just
a little,
take my word on it.
Had a little too much crotch cam going on there, folks. So Norton Richard is asking a question. My wife and I are thinking about attending. What size forces should we plan on bringing?
That's a good question.
It is a good question. And I believe that last year, so Food Machine event is an event where you can bring, if you pay enough tickets, you can bring casters from different factions and stuff. And we have a whole rule sheet that is going to be on there. And I believe we will run it as a 75-point event. And we will, all the Food Machine rules will be in effect. And John, one of the things I think I should probably commit to, even though we are literally months away yet from this, is to put out the rules for what the Food Machine part of the event is.
Well, yeah, that way in case someone wants to run something locally, they can just, sharing the rules means that they can just run something and they don't have to spend extra time. That's making it easier for anyone to run something.
Yep. So we're going to go ahead and do that. I'm switching over right now to Dasani Black Cherry water.
Sparkling water?
Mm-hmm.
Ugh, I just like sparkling water, but not everything can be everyone's jam.
No.
It's okay.
No, it's fine.
I usually go to water at that point,
Oh, I hear you. But this is I like the black cherry flavor in it. It's really
Yes,
good.
sometimes you need a little bit of taste.
Yep. So folks, there's two different things I want to talk about over this. Also, if you want in Nor and Richard on the sweet colossal wrestling, make sure you bring a colossal with, because that is gonna be super sweet and totally legit, and you have the opportunity to beat my 11-year-old kid, who's pretty good at this. So, one of the things that we talk about when we talk about units is assembly line painting. So what that means is that if you look at a particular model, and I'm going to see if the focus is not awesome on this camera right now. So let me see if I can't plus this up a little bit. All right, let's get the video input going here, and I will fix the. I think I had this thing set up for painting a larger model than I am right now. So let's get this fixed up a little bit. That's much worse. Okay, let's see. That's a little better. So we'll just save that and go with it. Because I don't want to spend all day being that podcast that spends all of its time fucking with the camera. Because that's just not why people are here. If you look at a model, you can kind of break it down when you're painting a unit, you want to break it down much the same way that you would break down painting any model, which is you take a look and say, where are my color blotches? And a good place to start is to have a prototype, is to take one model and take it all the way through. First off, that's going to be less soul crushing than trying to just take all the models from bare all the way through. And it also helps you set for consistency as well. And so this model was actually painted by somebody else. This was painted by Chris Miller. And you can see here he's got a purple color, and then he's got the face and skin, which is kind of your normal, probably midland flesh, and then a lot of leathers and browns and some silvers, and then this green color, which appears to be almost kind of a wash of a green ink because it's very light. And I don't have a green wash, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to attempt to do color matching on this. And that's another one of the topics I wanted to talk about. So, what's that?
Seth,
How many
tickets to paint on the crotch cam?
Don't have that number, but Seth, we'll find out for you, buddy.
I don't know. If he wants to come to JohnCon and paint on the crotch cam and stream it, I feel like there's no tickets required. You're in.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, something for the ladies? I don't know. There you go. So we've got, so what we're going to do here is I started doing some of this, and traditionally, anytime that you're painting on a unit, you want to pick a color and then go with it across many different models. And that's what I've done here is I created a glaze of what I felt was probably the best match for this color that G'day Bloke used. And as you can see, it's not quite the same. G'day's is, you see that mine is quite a bit darker than his. And I'm not really quite sure right now how I'm going to fix that, other than to probably go back with a brighter red or something like that and try to lighten it up.
Matte varnish might do it too.
Yeah.
I have a feeling those are really close colors that he just straight up matte varnished his.
Okay. Maybe I should put a little matte varnish on it and see what happens to it over the course of the show, huh?
Yeah, I mean, it's always good to test. This is how you test the stuff.
So I'll go ahead and do that. I've got a little matte varnish right here, and I'm going to go ahead and just put a drop of it on my paintbrush. And I'll just go ahead and matte varnish his belly armor here just to see what it does. Got a little bit more on there than I wish I had, but that's okay. We'll just wipe a little bit of that off. And we'll just do that right here and just see kind of what that color becomes as it dries. Okay, so we'll put that aside.
Yeah, see how close it is. Because you can always paint over matte varnish.
Yep. And so that's what you want to do, but you also want to make sure that you're not totally violating all your other kind of rules of painting. You want to paint from the inside out. So you want to make sure that you're... I violated that a little bit on these guys because I wanted to see what that purple was going to look like. And that purple that I chose for this was Murderous Magenta from the P3 line. And I believe that Chris used Murderous Magenta on here. So it may be exactly what you were saying, John, that he also might have painted this over a white white base coat, prime coat. And I'm trying to find one that was maybe a little bit whiter. Yeah, that's still a little dark on there, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. So what I'm going to do from painting with the inside out, the next step I'm going to take on these guys is I'm going to work on their skins. I'm going to try and get the skins done. So I'm going to take some Midland flesh, and I'm going to create a glaze of that because I've done my zenithal priming on these guys, and I'm going to see what I can do about getting just a glaze of this on here and start working that. And then I will paint all of the skin tones on all of the models in one fell swoop because that's easier. That's kind of how I keep sanity on this. Is just go ahead.
It's the way forward. It also lets you paint in chunks. Like, I got the flesh done. I'm gonna go watch something for a little bit and then come back and maybe I'll do the next layer up.
Yep, exactly. So while I am busily adding flesh to these dwarves, why don't we start off with the questions that we got from our listeners, John?
Yeah, well,
and
we
by
only had
listeners,
one listener post questions.
Yeah, by listeners I mean the guy that decided to help us this week.
To be fair, if we ever wanted to, I have questions as far back as to coming from Kyle McCollum and such.
Holy crap! Those guys dropped right off the planet, didn't they?
Yeah,
that's all right.
That's fine.
Whatever.
That's what happens sometimes. All right. So Stephen Halterman asked a series of questions. They get progressively more complex and more wordy.
Okay.
The first one is really easy. If you were to restart the game, War Machine and Hordes, owning no models, but retaining all the knowledge you have of factions and their models, which one would you choose to play?
Do you want me to go first? Or do you want you to go first, John?
I could go first.
Go ahead.
I've had more time to think about it.
Yep, go ahead.
I would probably literally stick with mercenaries. Even knowing what I know, at the end of the day, they're still got everything I love in a faction. They have enough diversity to be a single faction to play the game.
Yep. And surprisingly enough, and I think this is a discussion point worth talking a little bit about, I would play Protectorate. Protectorate, especially in its latest incarnation, is exactly what I want to play. It's not an easy faction to play. It says no real hard. It hits the things that I love are factions that hit like a ton of bricks and allow me to execute my game, and they certainly do that. Mm-hmm. But I do like my palate cleanser factions, and so I do really enjoy playing Retribution. I enjoy playing Trolls. I enjoy playing the Minions. But I keep on coming back to Protectorate, and they just make sense to me. They hit real hard. I don't know that I've been terribly successful with them, but I always enjoy playing them. So I guess that's my answer.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Honestly, I don't have any regret. I have maybe a little bit on Minions, but not much. I knew they were going to be a challenge. It's more of a getting the models to get started hardcore with them. Especially with how few games we're getting right now. But I would keep Ret and I'd keep Circle. I mean, also because there's just a good variety of factions, give you a little different play style with each one.
Yep. I mean, if I had to pare down to two factions, I would keep Ret and I would keep Protectorate, I think.
As funny as it sounds, if I guaranteed had two, I would probably just stick Ret and Circle. I know I said Mercs for one, but Mercs are good as a single play style. But if you have two, and you could only keep two, I would probably go Circle and Mercs or Ret. It
would hurt so hard to my Trolls have turned out so nice looking as a unified faction. Mm-hmm. It would be so hard. But if I didn't have to get rid of the models, I just could never play them again. I would just put them in a display case and be pretty okay with them.
Yeah. All right. So second one, a little bit deeper.
Okay.
Looking at the faction you're currently playing and analyzing its weaknesses, what is a future model unit you would like to see that helps shore up weaknesses? Weaknesses might be internal, limited magic weapons, lack of Pathfinder, minimal access to RFP, etc. Or maybe external, doesn't deal well with high defense armor, troop jack, beast spam, etc.
Playing Retribution right now. So I'm going to be very interested to see how my answer compares and contrasts to yours, John. And the reason I'm going to go first on this one rather than have you do it is you're a more knowledgeable player than I am when it comes to playing the game.
Mhm.
So Retribution does a lot of things really, really well. I think that it does combined arms type stuff better than anybody. So they've got really good infantry. I always feel like when I'm playing them, my jacks don't hit hard enough. Okay, and you're laughing at me now.
I mean, I did one round of Stormwall with 2 heavies.
Yeah, there's that. Scything touch on Alara too goes a long ways towards fixing that problem.
Concentrated power goes a long way. If you're willing to just bump an extra focus into your jack and get a concentrated power, you will wreck the hell out of some stuff.
Put my comment in context with what I'm used to playing with Protectorate.
Oh yeah.
Protectorate hits like a fucking freight train from hell.
Well, really, they have the same thing. They just have concentrated power without as many optional choices. If you're going offensive, you just take battle.
Right. I don't know, John. I don't know what I'm missing from Ret right now because I haven't played it quite enough to get a feel for it just yet. I'm super loving the options that I have with. I mean, I'm playing right now my 3 lists. Someday that I'll get to play the other 2 are Lara 2, Helena, and Ron. So
I have Ossian and no idea.
Okay.
I've got other lists made, but I just haven't played anything other than Ossian yet. The first thing I would like is a Rupert-like solo. He doesn't have to give tough, but being able to give, even if it was just, a House Guard Thane variant, like, you can give a House Guard unit Pathfinder. Just no Pathfinder on so many units is a pain.
Yeah, the only way to get it is to go Mage Hunter.
Yep. Which is not bad. And actually, something you said earlier is you love how they think they combined arms better than anyone, which I would agree. They feel a lot like 40k Eldar, where they combined arms well if you get the right model in the right spot, but they don't have as many of the versatile units as someone like Mercenaries, who combined arm probably second best.
Yeah.
You don't have the Idrians who are like, shoot, melee, we do both. I mean, the closest you get are Mage Hunters are really underrated for that. Mage Hunter Strike Force. Little low POW, but I mean, they are still MAT 6 and POW 9. They can charge. They still do extra die to jacks with their melee weapons. They're actually a lot better in melee than people think.
Yep.
It pretty much is them and Invictors, but Invictors, like, I just don't see Invictors, which is strange to me.
It doesn't make any sense to me because they're one of my favorite units.
And they had to lose Flank because Flank was completely off the chain.
Yeah, whatever. They have Assault.
Yeah. But so definitely need some sort of Pathfinder support, one way or the other for these guys, because sometimes just maneuver them. You put a giant forest in the way of my halberdiers. Yes, with quick and a desperate pace, I can bully my way through the forest, but it's not easy.
Yeah.
It's interesting to see what they could do with that. But I feel like that's the only major weakness they have, because almost everything else they have, they can get either the right caster or what to cover it. I mean, you need defense debuff. Look, you just brought Ossian with Hypnos, and you've got 2 guns that give -2 or 3 to defenses.
Yep.
So, a lot of options there.
Yeah, I'm really happy with where Red is. I think most players are pretty happy with where Red is. I hope they are.
Yeah. I mean, Red has a good state. They still have the problem of certain things that are not necessarily usable or easily usable, require too much work. But CID is young, and I'm sure they'll get to them. They're just getting to Cricks right now. I'm sure they'll make the rounds. I mean, Ret would have to be near the last on our list because they're doing so well.
Yeah.
As far as potential buffs, so
I'm sure looking forward to a Dawn Guard theme list.
Yeah, it could be interesting.
Yep.
I'm looking forward to a lot of this stuff. I actually thought of some uses for the new infantry unit, the one I'm not a fan of. The NIS ones.
Oh yeah.
Gareth, he has heightened reflexes, so they don't fall down when they tough.
Oh, there you go.
I mean, I still don't think they're necessarily as good as Sentinels, but if, armor's not doing it for you, why not save a few points, throw some height and reflex on them, and be like, I'll just take tough as my defense and I don't fall down.
No, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, not bad at all. All right. Because,
'Cause-
not many external things we can't deal with. Magic weapons on units is a slight problem, actually, but we have enough jacks with magic everywhere that it's probably just go jack heavy.
Yep.
Drop your jack heavy list in there. Actually, I was thinking I talked earlier in the pre-ramble about my list, but I'm thinking about a demon because it has blessed magic fists.
Yeah.
And considering, Signar has, in almost every case, oh, look, I get 2 armor buffs. Yeah, fuck you. Punch, don't care. That or Thyron, because, well,
Oh, Tyrone.
Spell Piercer's a thing.
Love that guy.
All right. So next one is one that I'm actually going to save for next week, Stephen.
Okay.
Because our con expert is not here today.
Indeed, and we do want to save some of those kind of things for the Gonzo.
Yes. So next we're going to go to... It's a PG one. I'm going to read a wall of text, and then we'll revisit parts of it.
Okay.
With the disbanding of the PG program, I've noticed several PGs on podcasts talk about burnout, either directly or indirectly. Personally, I feel that the PP's PG program was a massive incentive for PGs to run events. Many PGs said after disbanding they weren't in it for the recognition of PG points, but for community. I think we are seeing more and more that many of those PGs were in it for the recognition and the points, and that they felt an obligation to continue running events because of the PG moniker. And now that the program is gone, many of those PGs are experiencing their own burnout from running events. What can we, the average players, do to encourage our former PGs to continue playing, running tournaments, passing on knowledge about how to set up successful tournaments, and helping more to take some of the burden off our former PGs so they don't feel like they are still doing everything themselves, but without any reward for their efforts?
That's a really good one. I think that... Go ahead, John. Do you have something you want to say right away, or do you want to...
Well, right away, I would say in chunks, most of them were in it for community, but, being rewarded for their time was important. So step one is to get with the stores, continue to buy your stuff, continue to come to the events, so that the stores realize they have something, so they're willing to reward the PGs for doing stuff.
Right.
Because it's on the stores now.
Yep.
So that's the first step, is when they have an event, show up, buy something. If you go to a tournament at a store, I know you're paying a fee to get in there. Think about buying something from that game system if it looks like they track that, so that they know, oh, look, we had a War Machine event and more War Machine sales came in. We want to encourage this.
Yep. Agreed. The other thing I would do is see if you have the wherewithal, try to work with your PG. If they're burning out, try to find a way that maybe you could run an event for them, so that they can feel more free to participate, and that really goes a long way, because there's a lot of PGs that haven't really had a chance to play the game that they love for a long time because they've felt obligated to run events. So that's a great way you can help out if you feel like you have the wherewithal to run the event, and maybe you could work it out with the PG if you're not as strong in the rules as you feel like you ought to be, that you can run the event, but if a rule question comes up, maybe you can ask that person to step in and help adjudicate it a little bit. And folks, don't be so goddamn hardcore about the game that you're not that you feel like there's gonna be some kind of conflict of interest between the former PG and that kind of stuff, that they're gonna rule in their own favor. They're not going to do that 9 times out of 10. If they didn't, well, I'm sorry, you have an asshat in your area. But most times they're going to be fair and balanced, and they're going to do the right thing by the game. So, get on out there. Maybe you can run an event for a former PG. John, your thoughts?
I agree. I also offer, maybe they have more experience in setting it up, and you can just come in and take care of the details while they're playing. I've done that a couple times. The Baltimore final was handled at Games and Stuff, and there was no PG available to run it back when they're PGs. So Seething Ginger jumped in and asked me to run it. I'm like, absolutely, I'll run that for you guys. I can run that. You guys have fun, play. He was playing in it also, so it's all good. Just take some of that burden off however you can. The Dream Maker actually says, help him out with some prize support if you can. If something comes your way, it seems like prize support has gone from actual models to gift cards a lot. I've seen locally, but doesn't mean it can't go back because that's what we need to do because of the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Have a prize table like they do at big cons, and certain spots you get first place, go pick your prize, you get the first choice. Second place, whatever, best painted, all that stuff. If you get something in a box that you're never ever going to use, don't necessarily just try to sell it. Maybe you can donate it to the PG to running an event. It's just if you want to go that way, there's more prize support.
Yep, exactly. John Con, an awful lot of John Con's prize support is stuff that I just don't necessarily have a great use for.
Mm-hmm.
And some of it's pretty damn cool stuff. I mean, I've got entire games in there. I've got the Rune Wars miniature games system. I got 2 of those in there. But I know I'll never play it. So what good does that do gathering dust on my shelf? Let's get that out and give it to somebody that might want to, because a game is sad if it's not being played.
Yep.
So
that's why when I have stuff, like I get a lot of stuff cheap because I got someone selling my 40K in fantasy stuff and getting me War Machine stuff cheaper. I don't put it together till I need it, because if something comes up, like let's say I decide not to play Minions, I have an entire box of Minion stuff that's still packaged I can throw into prize support or give somebody else who's starting out.
Yep.
There's a ton of things you can do with that. So it starts with just thinking selflessly in general.
Indeed. That's good. That's a good piece of advice all by itself. Just try to think outside of your own stuff.
Because we all have too much stuff. If one of you does not have too much stuff, contact me if you need something. I will help you have more stuff, because we should all have too much stuff. I mean, we're playing a game that's, a little expensive. We buy stuff. It happens.
Yep. Cool.
So that's the PG one, and that's a good one. That could probably be revisited with a lot of things, but if you get a chance, talk to the store too. Tell them, hey, we like this guy. We like the way he runs events. Let's help him out with stuff.
Indeed.
All right. Now the last one is, he says, not to make this too controversial, but I have a question about the whole PreMeasure / proxy debate.
Yeah.
So we know this is going to be a thing. It's going to be a thing for a while. I'll throw some thoughts at the end. This is a little more verbose than the last one.
But we are a very controversial podcast, John. You know that about us, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, we're very fucking edgy.
So bear with me. So he says, do you feel that with the advent of pre-measurement and proxies that we have lost our quote-unquote searching for Bobby Fischer? What I mean by that is we've taken the mental aspect of the game away, where a truly skilled player can look at the board, see where their models need to move, check ranges, and then execute their plan to the best of their personal ability. He says he likes the idea of using all the proxy bases, measure devices you want at your FLGS, and as an excellent tool to teach and show new players how specific interactions occur and play out on the board. But should we be holding a quote-unquote tournament setting to a higher standard than that of our local game store nights? I say Bobby Fischer because many seem to equate their ideal game of War Machine Hordes with that of chess. And while you can see the board and know every move available in chess, you don't get to lay a marker down on a table that continually reminds you of where your opponent's queen can threaten your pieces, or mark out the landing points your opponent's knights can choose to take. There's almost no amount of memory and brain power required to earn the coveted top spots in chess. I feel War Machine Hordes has lost some of that because many of our players see that with measuring devices, they can achieve their higher level of play without putting in the time and energy to learn to maneuver their army correctly, but rather can merely proxy the moves out and execute a turn that they otherwise would not have been capable to make without more practice. He says, how do you feel about this? Am I way off in the weeds, or is there a discussion to be had here? Oh, there's discussion to be had.
No, there's absolutely a discussion to be had. First off, I'm going to start off my comments with just a quick comment thanking you very much for spending the time. It's a very thoughtful set of observations. I don't personally agree with your observations, however.
Okay.
And maybe John, you and I are going to fall in a different spot on this. But I disagree that 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 the use of proxies makes you a lesser player. I think at the end of the day, it depends on what you feel like War Machine is supposed to be testing. Is War Machine supposed to be testing your... First off, is War Machine supposed to be testing? I mean, we can ask that. It's a damn game, okay? And it is a game that, at its fundamental, is a game of perfect knowledge. So allegedly have the opportunity to know what everybody's models can do and what yours can do and all that kind of stuff. But we also realistically know the War Machine is a game of mistakes. And that the person who makes the fewer mistakes, in most cases, are going to win a game of War Machine versus someone who makes more mistakes. The note makes the observation, or makes the assumption, that being able to maneuver your models without proxies is equivalent to being able to maneuver your army properly. That's a value judgment. Being able to be able to know what your models can and cannot do, lay out a strategy to win, is, I believe, a noble goal of this game. That you should, by knowing that, by looking at a table, looking at the placement of your opponent's models, and by laying out... I mean, okay, let's take and bring an equivalent, because these are war games. Let's bring this to an equivalent to planning a battle in a war. The generals have the opportunity to sit down and put as many proxies as they want to different locations, and then quiz out with their advisors as far as what are they going to be doing and where are the opponent's potential next moves and things like that. If what we think War Machine is a proxy for that planning process that goes on at wartime, then I believe you can make a strong argument that we should have the opportunity to use whatever kind of little dots and widgets we put on the table that we care to, because we can. If we believe that the purpose for War Machine and Hordes is to test the thought on the fly and judgment of a sergeant who is on the battlefield and having to use field glasses and what other else rangefinders that they might have to maneuver their models, then perhaps proxies are inappropriate, because you literally could not do that in the field. I like to think that War Machine is more the latter than the more recent. That it is two generals maneuvering their forces on attempting to play out this battle that's taking place. And in that case, I have no issue whatsoever with the use of proxies. We have a mechanism in place called Death Clock that is there to help replicate perhaps some type of flow of battle type of a thing. If this is truly bothersome, then one need only reach for their egg timer, and the proxy situation goes completely out the window, because you are not going to be proxying your frickin' turns and time turns. This whole controversy is an offshoot of the evolution of this game, thanks to TempleCon and the chess clock. This is easy, folks. If you're a tournament organizer and you despise what has become in the game, time turns. I want to see some of these people who are quizzing out every 15 proxies. I want to see them get it done in a 7-minute turn, because it just doesn't happen. So has the game lost something? No. The game has changed. The game has been changing since Mark 1. And the prevalence of Death Clock, and now the codification of Death Clock as the primary way of playing this game, says to me that proxies should probably be okay. John, your thoughts? I think you disagree with me.
Oh, I disagree with a lot of what you said, but not horribly so. I agree that time turns takes this shit completely out the window. I feel that maybe it is the way forward, but mostly because of the negative play experience. I do feel that War Machine and Hordes has lost something. That something is And please, no one take offense. I mean no offense to everyone. You're using the rules as they exist in the game. But what it takes away is skill. It's easy with proxy bases for people, as he said, to mimic skill by taking time. And yes, that may hurt them in some games because even because a death clock is a standard. I make an analogy of a guy who in our pickup games was always amazing. He'd sit there, he'd plan out the perfect turn, execute it, and it'd be great. But as soon as the tournament came up, he just could not keep up because he took too much time. Time. It's time and skill are two measures, two resources you have. If you don't have enough skill, you can spend time and make up for the lack of on the fly skill and all that. But on the other hand, you need skill to make up for lack of time. So I feel this is it is actually a big thing in War Machine, and I don't want to say it could make or break it, but on a tournament level, it could. And it's not because of the proxies themselves or any of that. It's because of the reaction people had to Privateer Press saying, this is a problem. We are going to fix it. We're willing to talk about how we fix it. And the players going, no, fuck you. We have proxy bases. We're going to use them. And that's a problem. Not everyone can see it, of course, but there's a local War Machine Hordes group where people basically said, if there's a tournament, I'm not going to enforce this. To which I say, it is the law of the land, sir, and unless you can guarantee everyone who shows up at your tournament knows that in advance, you had best enforce the fuck out of that if they ask you to. And, man, it's going to cause a problem.
Yeah.
More so than theme lists or, uneven model power, any of that. This is the biggest problem facing War Machine right now. It eclipses every other problem we have because the community. It'll boil down to I put an analogy. I talked to Booey about it. It feels like old school Magic when it stopped being fun and started being competitive. There are prizes involved. We must be all the competitive. This card is bad. Get this card out of here. We cannot use that card anymore because it is bad. We only play good cards. It's gonna make that whole filthy casual thing. It's gonna make that more pronounced. Like, here comes John Spencer. He doesn't like it when you use proxy bases too much because he's a filthy casual. He doesn't want that perfection of the game can have. To which I say, hey, you're moving little fucking figures on a board. It's not going to be perfect. We should not be shooting for perfection. What we're shooting for is fun, fair, and balanced. And that's how I could probably rant about this for another half an hour. So I'll stop there with my quick thoughts. And that I feel Steven actually hit it on the head for the most part, but it's both better and worse than he thinks.
It's interesting, John. I think that because I mean what you say when you say skill is maybe we're having a semantics conversation.
It might be a semantics. Skill's just the word I'm going to use. Decision making, ability to make decisions quickly.
Yeah.
Time versus planning. Time versus planning. You're going to call it that instead of skill. But really, being able to plan quickly is skill, just in the game.
And what I'm wondering is and maybe it's a difference that we're having here in that what we look for out of a game of War Machine or what we expect War Machine to be about, and where. And this is my super long, totally belabored discussion about that I just had about what is the purpose of the game? Is the game to tease out on the fly decision making skills and how quickly can one think on one's feet, or is it supposed to tease out our ability to do and execute a plan with as many resources as we can figure out? I don't know what I guess I can't come to a quick decision on what I think War Machine is supposed to be.
Well, if there was a quick decision about it, we would have figured it out and this would have been solved.
Yeah.
There's a lot of smart people all working together to make this game work, and let's be honest, if we haven't figured it out easily yet, there are other factors. It's not an easy answer.
And
By the way, Facebook crashed.
Oh, it did?
Yeah.
Oh, you know what it is? It's because Facebook fucking cuts you out after a certain amount of time.
Really?
Yeah.
Suckers.
That's all right. Thank you for letting me know, though, because I'll just restart the broadcast. Boom.
Yeah, they might have missed a little bit. I don't know how long it was.
Yeah. But this has been just kind of some soul searching here a little bit because,
Yeah.
I think that when you get right down to it, for me, I guess I like a little bit more methodical play style, but I guess I can also see the point that it's awful irritating to sit there and watch somebody go through the gyrations. I was talking to when I was at the Sioux, Rich Brotman was playing against a very good player, and that player almost lost the game because of all the time that they took planning out every minute bit. It was the first time that I think that Rich had really seen somebody take that play style to its logical conclusion. And it was not, I don't think it was, I think he really loved the game because of how close it was. And this guy is, considered to be a top tier player and all that kind of stuff. But I can see where it can be quite tedious to play against.
Mm-hmm. And it's one of those things. It is a tournament, but we still have to look at that. If you want to be successful, you need to get people in there. And to keep it successful, you need to get the quote unquote, let's say hardcore casual, our people, to play in the tournaments.
Mm-hmm.
So to get them to play in tournaments, it has to not be negative.
Yep.
And to be honest, we had a discussion where one of the end points for this game is inherently negative. Assassination is a negative play experience.
Yep.
But it's part of the rules. And I think what we all want from a game is we don't want to come up and just, I hope. Those are the people I call my brethren do not want to come up and just raffle stomp their opponent.
No.
They want a good, hard fought, oh my god, we got like 4 models left. We're making shit. We're using our models to their utmost abilities. We're just getting all this shit done and trying to win the game.
And some kind of crazy ass ending. That's all I want. Is some kind of crazy ass ending.
Or one of those things where it's like, I've just crafted this crazy plan. Let's see if I can make it work to win the game. I've had tons of games. Those are the best games. I'm not going to lie. There are a couple people out there who are annoying enough that I enjoy raffle stomping them, but, that's still not as enjoyable as a close game against someone I like.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's really, really our goal. And being able to plan out the perfect term goes against that because, as you said, mistakes are part of this game. Planning out a turn takes away mistakes, which is sort of taking out one of really the features of this game.
Yeah, that's a good point, John.
Sure, you can make the perfect turn, and if you make a perfect turn enough, you win. But it's not fun.
Yeah, that is a very interesting point, buddy.
And I'll be honest. So let's talk about chess. I love talking about chess as an example, because chess is the closest example to a war game that is absolutely precise, which is what these proxy bases and all sort of do for the most part. Mm-hmm. Precision. Chess is not fun.
This is a true statement of fact.
You may enjoy the mental challenge of playing chess, but I would not classify it as fun. And I do not want a game that I just enjoy the mental challenge of playing it. I don't want problems to be solved. I don't want just problems to be solved. I can go to work for that shit. I want fun. And the more you make me sit there and wait for you to finish your turn, the less fun it is.
Yeah, that's a good point.
When Hacksaw ran the 2 ATCs I went to, he ran time turns. And I found them all fun. It was sometimes challenging to get that turn done in time, but never so much, because I practiced a little bit, that I thought was out of control. And there are players who are like, I feel like this guy has a ton of skill, but he can't do it quickly. And suddenly I feel like part of my skills have an advantage against his skills.
Yeah, and this discussion is making me think about John Con a little bit. We've always run John Con as a death clock type of event. Like the last time. I'm wondering if time turns might be kind of a fun thing to try this time.
Well, we could think about it. I mean, I'm not saying so. With the crew we're looking at, it's probably not necessary because time turns is
No.
only necessary in a certain crew
That's true.
because the competitiveness. John Con's not strictly a competitive event.
Not even strictly at all.
Yeah. So it's just it may not be necessary.
Yep. Good point.
I'm waiting to see how this goes. No offense to anyone locally, I plan on scrutinizing the crap out of every time they put an event down there. And if I feel a lesson needs to be taught, and this is my inner dick coming out, and they did not mention that they're not going to enforce the proxy rule, I'm going to show up and enforce the fuck out of the proxy rule against every opponent I play.
Yeah, I hear you.
Just to teach the event organizer that you have to make this clear. Because I have no problem if you're not going to enforce it. That is your call as the event organizer. I feel it's shitty, and you should play by the rules of the game. I equate it, for those of you who are old War Machine guys, to the old special characters rule. And John, so you can understand, in the old editions of Warhammer and Warhammer 40k, they had special characters, named characters, who were usually a little more powerful, but you paid more points for them, of course, as you do. And they had a little caveat that you can only play them in a game where your opponent has agreed to special characters. This is really old. So everyone would just never agree to them. Like, no, you can't play them. Whatever. So then they took that out in an edition of the game. Like, you could just use them now. And local people kept going, you can't use special characters. And I'm like, the fuck are you doing? That is a rule in the game. This game is designed around them being actual viable models. By taking them out, you have actually changed the inherent rules of the game and disrupted the theoretical balance of said game.
Yeah.
The same thing with the proxies. Maybe they make choices in the Steamroller packet based upon proxies not being a thing out of control. You don't know. You're not sure what they're thinking, and honestly, they're not going to clue you into every little decision they're making. Some of it goes on in your subconscious brain thinking about it. So if they make that choice and you've decided not to play that, you have changed the balance of the game as they are intending to have the rules out there, which is not something you should do lightly, which is why we don't do house rules in tournaments. But that's for future work. Hopefully this proxy thing will pan out that everyone's okay with how it ends up and we'll be good.
Well, I think that was a great conversation, though, John. I think I appreciate you putting the passion and the thought into your answers and your thoughts on that. I think that we're going to have to watch this one, folks, and see what it's going to be like.
It is near and dear to my heart because I honestly feel after a lot of games of this, and some of them I attribute to me just making mistakes and being pissed at myself and every little thing coming up. But there's a point in the game where War Machine used to have so few flaws. If you had a bad game, it still didn't bother you that much. Like, I was stupid. I'm pissed off at myself. Only the tiniest things are bothering me, but whatever. I forgive that because it's a good game. I think we're not that good of a game anymore. And when I get, when I start to get salty and pissed off, the little things start creeping up more and more, and it's death by 1,000 paper cuts.
No, I understand.
But, I feel like we can get through it. The CID, we haven't seen the CID fully work yet. But I have faith that it's going to work well because I've seen as they've done with this stuff, and it seems fine. I don't necessarily agree with every choice they've made, but they have a reason behind it all. They post them in the notes. It's great. It is going to end up being good for this game.
Yep, I understand. I'm with you.
And that'll make the game better, and that's what we need. And we need to stick together and keep it going.
Yep. I appreciate it. Good questions. Very good questions. Great discussion.
Yeah. He did pretty much give us an entire episode, just like he said.
Yep. Appreciate it very much. We appreciate content, folks, and helps us kind of keep moving forward. And, it's been a good backdrop for me to continue painting, too, which is good.
Yeah. I wonder if Seth's still in the... I don't see Seth still in the chat room.
Oh, can you blame him?
He threw a question in. We didn't get to it, but I will save it for laters, of course.
Cool.
Do you want to go straight into the media section? Because
I think we ought to.
I saw a lot of movies.
I think we probably ought to. I'm going to keep on painting, at least for a little while here, and let's get over here to the media section. And I'm going to keep on painting a little bit, at least until I get the guns painted. I hope people have kind of seen what I've been doing here, kind of picking a color, picking an area on the model, and going after it. Now, you'll notice that I've not done... this is very rough base coating that I'm doing. I just want these guys to look good from 1,000 feet because they don't see the table a whole lot. And I know that I'm going to pick up some detail and make them look a little bit better as I start detailing them out. But for now, I'm just trying to get some paint on these clowns so that they get that base coat going on. But John, you saw some movies. Enlighten us.
Yes, I did. So earlier in the week, I watched, because you guys did it first, I watched Star Crash, the MST3K version, of course. That's
buddy.
The only way to watch this movie. God, trust me.
Yes.
Certain people don't trust me when I say a movie is not worth watching.
Mm-hmm.
You need to trust me. This movie is not good.
No, not even a little.
It is... Oh, God, it's very scattershot, random as fuck. They did not... I believe they did not write down an entire story as they're making this movie like, let's just go on the fly!
Whee!
It's like a role-playing session gone bad. But, I don't even really think there's... So let's be honest. Watch the MST3K version because it is hilarious.
They do a good job sending this one up.
Absolutely. They have a lot to work with. It's one of those movies, it's not so bad you can't make fun of it, which is good. It's just bad enough to make fun of. Though, to be fair, I would probably rather watch the Turkish Star Wars.
Oh, yeah. No doubt about it. There's Turkish Star Wars. In fact, I was watching another one of the MST3K ones that the other night, the Wizards of the Lost, whatever the hell it was, that is worse than Turkish Star Wars.
Does that have a motorcycle in it?
It does not have a motorcycle in it.
I'm thinking of Warrior of the Lost Worlds, is what I'm thinking of. Sorry.
Right, yeah, this is Wizards of the Lost something or other, and it's terrible, but we'll get to that later.
Yeah, so, the MST3K version, I give you as many shots of crack as you wish to take, because it's just going to make it funnier. I really enjoy what they're doing with this. It's a very worthy successor to the original.
Great.
God, skip the first episode, because I started watching it on Netflix, and it started into Reptilicus, and that one's... They chose poorly for that movie.
Yeah, Reptilicus is not great.
There's not a lot for them to make fun of without just getting... I mean, there are periods where I'm like, this movie is just not your standard. You can't make fun of it. It's so bad it's bad, not so bad it's worth making fun of.
Reptilicus's issue is that they fell in love with the rubber monster.
Yes.
And that's the only reason they did it, is because the rubber monster is so ridiculous. They said, nope, we're doing this. And they probably should have backed off that crack pipe. Yeah,
so that was not bad. But this one's good. Official rating, I'd give it a shot of Kraken, but as many as you want to take, because it's going to make it better.
Absolutely. If I could jam one in here, John, I know you've got a lot to talk about, but let me just jam my one movie in for the week, and that is The Dark Crystal.
Dark Crystal.
Yep, I finally managed to watch it, and it is it's a Jim Henson movie, but it is not a Jim Henson.
It's darker than that.
It's way darker.
Dark Crystal.
Yep, and the only thing I would say that as a negative to the movie is that they could have done a better job of making the main character's mouth move. But other than that, I thought that I thought it was a deep story. I thought it was pretty well done. I like it that it was dark, and I really enjoyed it. The kids watched it, which is amazing because my son Jacob, who the older one, fell asleep during it, but the younger one didn't. And Belinda and I enjoyed the living daylights out of it.
How old's Jacob?
He is 13. And
he's getting a little old for that. He's at that point where he's gonna start thinking this is kid stuff.
Well, and also the fact that puberty being a thing, he's hormones are just raising all kinds of hell. So, all right, so let me go ahead and get this on. Let me get all this painting shit out of my way. Get the painting cam out of the way. And I give it a shot of Kraken. For the fact that the main character's mouth, he looks like a fucking goat. Kid just doesn't move. But boy, the one set of wizards both sets of wizards were just really well done, very characterful. You remember the different ones, and I thought it was a really well done story.
Yeah, I enjoy the crap out of that. I feel like you'd probably give it 0 shots of Kraken if you saw it when you were a kid,
Probably.
because that extra nostalgia takes a shot of Kraken off most movies.
There you
Trust me,
go.
I know. After some of the ones I've sent to you. But
The
speaking of nostalgia,
London Girl wants to know where you can get the Dark Crystal. I got it on Amazon. I rented it for $4. So if you don't want to buy it,
well worth $4.
yeah, if you don't want to buy it, you can rent it for $4.
I'm actually curious how much that costs to purchase, because that's when I might. I used to have a VHS copy, so that was the best thing. And John, you know this about VHS back in the day.
Yeah.
A movie came on HBO, you just fucking recorded that shit.
Yeah, no shit, right? Now I don't even have TiVo or nothing like that.
My TiVo isn't hooked up because I don't have cable.
Yeah.
So it's not doing anything. I just keep it around because it's got some stuff I haven't watched yet.
Yep, there you go.
All right, so after lunch yesterday, we're deciding what we're going to do. Not Brushhead Dave opted out of playing Descent again, so me and Norrin were left with nothing to do. So I'm like, hey, Norrin, come over and watch some shitty movies. So we came over and we watched what turned out to be 3 movies in a row.
Whoa.
And then I wondered where the hell my afternoon went.
So tell us about your afternoon.
The first one was nostalgia. It is called Eliminators.
Eliminators.
Oh, yes. Some of you have seen the movie, and you'll understand when I say the name Mandroid.
I remember Mandroid.
When you've seen this movie, and so we were going to this, we're expecting absolute shite, because it's in a 4-pack of DVDs with movies that look like shite, too. And to start off the movie, we were pleasantly surprised. I mean, it's low budget to be sure, but it starts off, I'm like, this is competent. This is not terrible. You know, everything looks pretty good. The Mandroid actually looks surprisingly well, given the fact that it's low budget in the 80s.
Yeah, it could have been a shit show.
Until you realize what time of the 80s it came out. If I still know my Roman numerals, and I like to think that I do, it came out in 87, which means that it is actually quite a bit of shit. But, you know, when you're a kid, you know, you don't really care.
Nah.
But, you know, it's really good. It has, God, maybe one actor you're going to recognize, I'll be honest. Actually looks like 86. And the only actress you're going to recognize is Denise Crosby.
Oh, yeah. Tasha.
She is the only one, and she plays Nora Hunter, who is the scientist, and the evil scientist has stole her work to help make the Mandroid, and also make a time travel machine.
Well, because they were at it.
Yeah, and it starts off, and he comes back, he's like, did it work? Like, oh yeah, and he's got this Roman shield. Cool, time travel machine worked. You're like, cool, worked. And it's like, we don't need him anymore, destroy him. But the other scientist frees him instead, but dies in the process, like you do. And the Mandroid escapes and goes and finds Denise Crosby's character, and they're like, we're gonna go back and we're gonna find this place, and we're gonna beat the crap out of Reeves, who's the bad guy, played by who's it? Roy Dotrice, who I've never heard of before. But he has a really good mad scientist look, especially early on.
Cool.
So they go back and they hire she walks into a bar and she's like, I'm looking for a guide. And they've already been talking to this guy, Fontana, who is, he's your Han Solo type.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, I want the toughest guy in this bar. So they all just start beating each other up. And she walks out, and he's the one to come out because he sort of hides and waits to the end, and then hits the last one over the head with the bottle.
Mm-hmm.
So they got him. You've got your crew, right? It's them, and then the little droid Spot, who is like a scouting droid, who looks like a very tiny Vincent from the Black Hole.
Oh, that's cool.
Doesn't have the vocabulary of Vincent. All he says is beep, 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 beep. But, you know, can't win them all. So they go down the river. Lots of bullshit happens. Like the other river guides come and with guns, and they're trying to shoot them because they want the fare. Why are you shooting at the people you want to hire you? That is not smart. That is bad business.
I hear that leads to customer satisfaction issues.
Yes. So they keep going, and then the Mandroid fires a torpedo, blows them up because he's got torpedoes.
Where
He's
does
a
the
Mandroid.
torpedo come out of?
His arm. He's got
Oh.
he's got one humanish arm and one with the attachments.
That's unexpected.
Yes.
Because if I was a Mandroid, I know where I'd fire the torpedo from.
This is a family show, sir.
I'd fire it out of my foot because it would
Oh,
go
there you go.
lower. Because anyway,
Exactly. So he falls off the boat at some point. Him and Spot, because Spot becomes likes him and lands on his shoulder all the time. Probably because he had this giant backpack on. It was easier to attach the Spot toy or model to his shoulder like that.
of course.
But so he falls off the boat, and they're like, "Oh, he's dead. We'll continue on." That's what he would have wanted. And he's going out, walks out of the ocean, walks out of the sea eventually, and meets a ninja who's been following him.
Wait,
First, you see the ninjas. Yeah, ninja.
what the fuck?
The ninja is the other professor's son who's looking for him.
Well, duh.
And then on the other side, Fontana and Denise Crosby get attacked by Neanderthals. I'm not making this up. This is in the movie. They escape and meet up together, and they attack Reeves' fortress. But Reeves captures the human members and then forces a Mandroid to surrender, and shows up, and he's made himself into a Mandroid because he is going to go back in his time machine to ancient Rome and rule.
That's his plan.
Yep.
Well, how about that?
So he ends up defeating the Mandroid and trapping the people in an electric bubble. Because he's got an electric gun, like sci-fi scientists do.
Well, yeah.
But what you don't notice is that as it's going on, he started off really mad science. You see half his face scarred, really wild white hair. Next time you see him, his face is different. And I'm like, is his face different? He's like, I don't know. Nora and I were having a problem thinking it out. And the third time, he looks young. His hair is normal colored and all. Because apparently he can do that. In addition to making himself into a Mandroid.
Did they literally use 3 different actors?
No, it's the same actor. There's prosthetics on the first two.
Oh,
so,
God.
I mean, to be fair, there are parts of this movie that are very well crafted.
Mm-hmm.
Especially considering they had a budget of probably $12.57.
They blew that on Denise Crosby.
Yeah, no doubt. So the Mandroid in his dying act is to touch the shield and absorb the energy in himself, killing him, but freeing everyone else. To go after the other Mandroid who just whooped the crap out of all of them. But they do, because that's what heroes do.
Well, yeah. Wow.
And they catch him as he's jumping into his time machine and going back to Rome. They're like, I'll just reprogram his landing spot. Damn, I couldn't do it in time. And then Harry Fontana, the river rat's like, I knew I should have learned computer programming. He just hits a bunch of buttons and punches it. And then the counter spins back very long, and he ends up in the Silurian era. So he comes out, and he's going to be ruler of jack shit. Because if you watch Doctor Who, you know what Silurians are. Those are the lizard people who ruled the Earth before us, and they have high technology, and they'll whoop his ass.
Oh, boy.
So this movie is a thing that happened, I swear.
Wow. Okay. So it sounds like a solid 3 shots of Kraken just to not have your brain melt out of your nose.
It is, because it starts off so good. You're like, this was made by people. This is okay. But then at a point, they're like, we need to get this other shit in the movie, so off the cliff we go!
We're missing ninjas. Fuck, we got no ninjas in this movie yet.
Or Neanderthals. We need Neanderthals. So none of this... This is a movie that I feel could be remade today and could be an actual good movie. You just change some stuff. What you do is you have him,
Just change some stuff.
No. He smuggles out the Mandroid to his son. His son knows about the other doctor who they stole the work from. They meet there, blah. They come back, get the river rat, and they go up and they fight other things that are displaced from time because of time machine. That's how he's testing it.
Okay.
You can make this movie work. It would be decent. We figure Vin Diesel has to be the Mandroid.
What? Yeah. Or Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Stone Cold Steve Austin's a good choice too. I just watched the video where he was trying all those mixed drinks recently. It was hilarious.
Stone Cold Steve Austin's one of the funniest human beings on the planet.
Yeah, 3 shots of Kraken. It is competently made. The props are actually decent for the most part. It's not a bad movie. It's just not a good movie.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent. So that was your first movie.
First movie, yes. We decided I had chosen that because I said we were going to watch this. We both remembered it from our childhood. Uh, it was not as bad as I thought it was going to hold up. I thought nostalgia had rose-colored glasses that a bit more, but no, it was pretty par for the course there. The second one is a movie I actually have reviewed before, but I'll talk about it again since it's my second time seeing it. And I know you enjoy this movie. It is John Carter.
Oh, I love this movie.
Yeah, Norton had not seen that. He'd heard bad things about it. And he was like, I want to see that. And I'm like, I'll put it in. And he's like, so we're back and forth during all of Eliminators talking about shit.
Mm-hmm.
We're almost entirely quiet through John Carter because it's
a good movie.
It's entrancing because it's a good movie.
Yeah.
And fuck you critics for just butchering this and like giving bad reviews. It's one of the times we show, hey, critics, they're not always right.
Yeah.
When they butcher this movie, but this is actually a good movie. This could have done sequels. This could have been an
Yeah.
actual legitimate trilogy easily.
Yeah, and the source material is really good through the first like 5 or 6 books. They really could have made a hell of a rollicking. This should have been Indiana Jones in space, and it
Absolutely.
it really could have been, and it just thanks to haters we did not get what we should have had.
Literally haters. And well, it's part haters and part Disney doubling down on it.
Yeah, they didn't do a good job marketing this movie at all.
They should have called something else. They couldn't have called it A Princess of Mars because a couple years before there was another movie made of the source material called The Princess of Mars. So they couldn't have called it that, which is a problem.
Right.
But they needed to get Mars in there somewhere so you know what the hell is going on.
Honestly, they could have called it Barsoom, and it probably would have done better.
Possibly. Or even John Carter of Mars would have been it.
Yeah, that'd been good too, John.
Yeah, I mean, there's a ton of things they could have done to make it, but when it was started to look like the critics were panning it, they doubled down on their marketing campaign and made the marketing so much money that there was no chance.
Yeah.
I mean, because marketing practically doubled the damn production budget of the movie, giving it no chance. But
Yep.
the entire cast of this movie is good. You can say whatever you want. I say this is a solid 1 to 0 shots of Kraken.
Oh, I give it 0 shots of Kraken. In fact, Belinda is here, and the kids are here. I might just say let's watch John Carter tonight.
It's a great movie. I mean,
Yep.
That being said, something like I've watched The Lone Ranger also. The Lone Ranger is everything they said John Carter was.
Yeah.
Not great, all that. But John Carter is a good movie.
Yep. Damn good money.
And he enjoyed the hell of it. And unfortunately, the roommate was cleaning, so she didn't get down there in time to watch any of it.
Yeah.
But she did last 12 seconds into our next movie.
12 whole goddamn seconds, huh?
Yeah, and I counted no fewer than 12 times that I could think of she would have walked out of this movie.
Okay. All right. So which movie are we speaking of?
It's called Shoot 'Em Up. I may have reviewed it before, but damn it, I'm going to review it again because we watched it again.
All right.
Have you seen Shoot 'Em Up, John?
I have not seen Shoot 'Em Up.
Do not watch it with the family.
I will not watch it with the family.
It is rated R. It's rated R. It is almost an homage and parody of old 80s action movies.
Okay.
The violence is over the top. It's absolutely silly. I looked at Lauren and said, Lauren, remember physics? Physics just walked out the door.
Yep. Physics
He's
is not even talking.
Yeah. He's like, well, we watched Fate of the Furious together. I'm like, we did. I think that movie made me realistic.
Okay.
And God damn, every act, like they one up themselves successfully in pretty much every single action scene. They successfully one up themselves.
Okay, wait
which
a
is
second.
impressive. It's hard to do that because there's like 7 or 8 action scenes in this movie.
Is that the one where he fires the gun trigger with a carrot?
At the end of the movie, yes.
Oh my god.
He does also kill 2 different people with carrots. It's like literally he tries. They have it's Clive Owen and he does the straight man so well. Like this movie is ridiculous and he's like, I don't care if it's ridiculous. I'm straight manning the whole way through this.
Mm.
And Paul Giamatti is the villain and he's decent. He's a little over the top, but that's this kind of movie. Has I think it's Monica Bellucci in it.
Okay.
Um, this movie is a thing that happened, and if you like those '80s action styles movies, you will enjoy the crap out of this because it just gets completely over the top. I wish I could have recorded Norton's reactions to the entire thing. It would have been hilarious. Because it ends sort of towards the end. There's a scene where he's talking to a presidential candidate because he's figured out the whole plot. I'm not going to spoil what the plot is, but he's talking to him. And he ends up jumping out of the plane because he's on the plane with him. And guys jump out after him, and they have a gunfight falling through the air.
In free fall?
Like, really? Oh, yeah.
I kind of have to see this movie.
Just not with the family,
No,
trust me.
I'll just watch it on my own. But is it?
This is a movie
Is
where
it?
if feminists say, like, oh, these movies are bad for women, yes.
Yes.
This movie is bad about women. It's terrible. But it's not serious. It is meant to be taken with, like, an entire container of salt. It is almost just an exploitation movie.
Well, I mean,
But-
if you go into it with that mindset,
It is glorious and it's overblown and totally unrealistic violence. It's so unrealistic that Mythbusters disproved part of it on one of their episodes.
there you go.
But it is glorious. Any shots of Kraken you want to take. I very rarely need to take shots of Kraken, but man, I will drink the hell through this movie because it is that kind of movie.
Well, there you go. Well, that's fantastic, John. And those were the 3 movies you watched then for your weekend.
Back to back
Man.
on Saturday.
Yep.
It was a good time. We're gonna have to do it again sometime.
Ouch. All right. Well, let's
No,
go.
it was good. I mean, overall, it's enjoyable. Next time we're trying to get Trollton Heston to come over on some Sundays and watch some movies. His movie knowledge is lacking. We have to make sure he sees some of the classics.
There you go.
I'm gonna try and get him up so if he brings his lovely wife, we get one shitty movie and one good movie.
There you go.
That's what we did last time. Because we watched Batman vs Superman, the shitty movie,
Mhm.
and Flash Gordon, the good movie.
Flash.
So
Outstanding.
yeah.
Well, sounds good, man. I tell
Yeah.
you what, John, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna cue the music because we are closing in on the 90-minute mark on the Painting with Men with John show, and while some podcasts will go 1, 2, 4 hours long, we cap it at 90 minutes because that's how we roll.
Yep.
John, thank you very much for being a part of the show, as you always are. You are the wind beneath my wing. You are the rock in which this podcast is built, and I am that moss on the top that you really wish wasn't there. Is a little soft and squishy and kind of gross. So on behalf of the rock and the moss, you've been watching Painting with Men with John. We're going to be back next week, and hope you have a great day off if you're in the United States. If you're not, enjoy your work day. We'll try to make Monday not suck for you. I don't know how we'll do that, but we'll try to make it not suck for you. We'll
do our
see you.
best.
Yeah, that's right. We'll see you next time here on Painting with Men with John. Good night, everybody.
Good night. It's balls amazing.